Welcome, everyone, to the Resilient, Wild, and Unstoppable interview series in this Facebook group. And today we are going to be talking to Eileen McDonald, and it is going to be a fabulous interview. So, when you listen to this interview, comment below, ask questions, get to know her, and really connect because I would love to see a lot of connections in this group. It's a lot of fun. So, Eileen, what inspired you to be on the journey that you are on today?
Well, I want to thank you for inviting me. This is so exciting. You really get to, we've known each other for a little bit now, so this is fun to see how you're really expanding and interviewing. I just love the interviews. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for including me. I really appreciate it. So we all have some type of pivotal point where we make a turn in our lives, right? And mine was about 31 years ago. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I had three small children. My background is in nursing, so I worked critical care for many years in pediatrics and neonatal. So of course, I knew the science, I knew, how the body operates, all of those things. But at that moment when I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, I started to wonder, why is my body eating itself? Like, what is it? Why is it rejecting itself? It has to be more than just an allergic reaction to something. Like, what is it? And at that point, I was 84 pounds, severely malnourished. I mean, I was at the point where
Wow.
I was still functioning because we do that, right? I had to stop work at that particular point, but I was still trying to keep up with everything else. And I remember being diagnosed. I remember sitting in the doctor's office waiting for the results. And he said, you have an autoimmune disease and there's really nothing we can do. Now it's celiac, but back then celiac was not as popular as it is
Mhm.
today. And so he said, the I don't know if your body is going to rebound or come back. And he said, you're pretty much my body was shutting down. And so I'm sitting there at the doctor's office thinking of my three small kids. My poor husband is pale next to him. And I'm thinking, okay, that's not an option. I have to look at it in my own way. So I took a deep dive to understand how emotions affect our health, how we're just not just the biology of it, but as a whole, there's a psychology, there's a physiology, the holistic approach, spiritual. Where was I and where did I need to put my energy and focus and really understand myself better? So that's how my journey started, was to really look at myself to say, what is this? And not blame myself, because there's no blame when we have illness. It opens up a window of curiosity to say, okay, what else could it be? What else can I look at myself in a different lens to see? And I always say it was before Google. So, I mean, I really had to do a deep search. I know
Yeah.
I'm into that, right? And so I met a lot of mentors and I worked with a chiropractor who, helped me greatly. And I wound up being her health and wellness coach for a while. And so that's kind of the path I took. It's really wanting people to understand themselves as a whole.
Mhm.
And for me, what I really uncovered was stress being the main culprit, probably for me, to really how it affected my immune system. And so I want people to realize that, we need to have a better relationship with stress, with
Mhm.
understanding how we're all individual and it's not a one size fits all. And stress isn't in your head, it's in your body, and we need to connect that. It's both brain and body. And so that's how I started my journey, was really helping myself and then really wanting to help others in that understanding how stress affects us in so many different ways.
Wow. And there are so many people that I meet that talk about being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease
Mhm.
and not knowing what those next steps are, not knowing, you know, to go left or to go right in
Mhm.
their journey or their path because there's so much, there's almost like a mystery to it
Mhm. Mhm.
and trying to figure out how to piece the puzzles together. What would
Yes.
you say to those that are experiencing it and just don't know which direction to go?
So one is just especially now with everything on the internet, and you have Google, you have the internet, you have TikTok. I mean, we have so much noise out there. So one is stop the noise. Just really stop the noise and sit with yourself for a little bit. Really understand my one thing that I tell people is that our body gives us signals of what we need to do. And it gives us a clear path, but we don't listen to it. We haven't learned the language of the body, right? And I mean, we haven't learned that. And so I think the first thing for me, what I did um, was not accept that that was my going to be my outcome. Like I said, I wanted to see my kids be raised. And so what is it? What can they connect to that, whether it's a core value or something in them that they can pull strength from to be able to sit down and just interview people, interview doctors. For me, I switched doctors a couple of times because I felt like they weren't on my team. So if you have an autoimmune disease and you feel like your physician isn't a team member, is to get somebody that is a team, because I think we need teams. And the other thing is, and I honestly say this, and it can be anybody, I think they need to find a coach to help them clear the path. I was able to have a mentor who was a chiropractor who had a direction for me and helped me, but listened to what my concerns were and addressed my concerns. And I think coaching does that. So
Hmm.
for any illness, really, whether it's cancer, whatever it is, if you have somebody that's walking with you and being able to hear you from a different set of ears and a different lens, they can help you relax that nervous system, get out of that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, whatever that is, that stress response, and be able to get to a little bit of clarity. I think that really what has helped me, and that's how I help people with that, is just to clear the noise, get settled, get somebody you trust. We have so many people, friends and family want to help, and they give you all this advice because somebody had a miraculous whatever, and it might not be the right fit for you. So when you work with somebody that is not involved in the emotional aspect, that's somebody that can actually guide you, I think that has really been helpful for me.
That's powerful. Because so often we listen to the noise, we listen to
Mhm.
the advice, and it's like, oh, I don't know if that's me. I don't know if that's what I should do. And
Yes.
getting into the shoulds
Hmm.
and all of that.
Yes.
Wow. So and I know there were some super powerful nuggets and tips in what you were just saying and expanding into everything that you're working with and your clients. What are some other amazing super tips or nuggets that you would want to share?
Sure. So the one I always go to first is breathing. And I don't do the traditional, when I talk about breath, I don't talk about prescriptive breath. Like, we do at times, but that there's a 4-7-8 for relaxation, that there's the 4-4-4 box breathing to be calm and alert. What I want people to do is pause and check in with themselves to see what their breath is telling them at the moment. Are they holding their breath? Are they breathing short and shallow? Because when we go to correct it before we assess it, it's that self-assessment or self-awareness. We're skipping over a lot of information that our body is giving us. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's pausing. It's seeing if you're holding your breath. If it is, just try to relax it. Just take some nice, easy breaths. When I hear deep breathing, I'm much better now, but it was a trigger for me because when people go, take a deep breath, people go, and then they just regulate themselves and they're not getting the what they really want the response, right? So, and
Hmm.
that's not for everybody. Some people that are not dysregulated, they can do that and that's fine. But if you do feel like your nervous system is very activated and jacked up and just you feel that you need some of that, it's pausing in the moment and being with the breath. and noticing the tension in your body. Sometimes we release the tension before we breathe. That sometimes is really important for people, whether it's releasing your shoulders, shaking out your hands, that movement of that stagnant energy needs to move. And sometimes that helps that breath come back into rhythm. So it's really pausing, assessing the breath and really the body and where you can shift from that moment is the number one thing that I tell people all the time is so vitally important. I tell people we breathe over 900 times an hour.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That, I mean, so when you think that 900 times an hour, if we take 1 minute and just naturally breathe for a minute, it's 12 to 15 breaths out of that 900. That helps regulate that nervous system so we can be more in attune to and really understand and listen to ourselves better and just be more present. So one is that definitely the breath is always where I go for that. And the second then we can, check in, which most people do is if you have some anxiety around whatever's going on, um, emotions for me are just data points. I just tell people it's just information and we get stuck up in that. So, what emotion are you feeling? And look at that emotional chart because we stick with 4 or 5 emotions. But when we expand our emotional vocabulary and really understand ourselves better, then we can then handle situations differently and more in less reactive way than in more responsible way, right? So that is
Absolutely.
really understanding that what is that emotional either regulation or flexibility. That's really important for me for people to get. So there's a chart on the internet, everybody can find it, your emotions. I always say put it on your phone, put it on your desk, put it on a wall, and just start labeling them. And the more you do that, you'll really be surprised of what you learn about yourself, right? You get
Mhm.
that deeper understanding. So that's two. And then three, what would the third one be? I think is is really understanding that being in an uncomfortable space is okay.
Mhm.
That, we always want to get out of that uncomfortable space, but that's where a lot of growth happens. And so if we can look at it with curiosity instead of fear, that really helps us move along whatever journey we're on, is looking at it with more curiosity than fear.
Yeah. And it's fun to watch you talk about these super tips and these nuggets because I feel like it's lighting you up just talking about it. So I'm curious as to what is it about the work that you do that just lights you up and fills you full of that excitement and joy.
Well, thank you so much for noticing because, when we're in it, we don't, I just got the little goosebumps. It's like, oh, thank you. That was a gift for me today. So when I've always feel that every single one of us, we were born to, and life can be challenging, and I don't mean it's going to be easy, but I think for that they can appreciate their life at the moment, right? And so I light up when people get that aha, that connection, because as a coach or a well-being, whatever, I decide to call myself, um, but when they get it, right? When I am in their presence and and maybe we can facilitate this co-collaboration together and they get that aha in that moment and then they can start putting the dots together and start making the changes. For me, not only they're changing their life, but it's the ripple effect. They're changing their people's lives around them.
Hmm.
And so that really lights me up when I get that, when they get that look in their eye, or they get that, it's almost like they go pale for a minute and then they light up. It's like, wait a minute, is that real? I don't know, can I say this? And then they say it and they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way, or I never put two and two together. And it could be in a 5 minute conversation with somebody, or it can be with a 2.5 hour deep dive with somebody. No matter what, when it happens, it's just so, I don't know, it's just so moving for me that people can really get in touch with themselves and connect with themselves at such a level that they feel empowered that they can make that next step, whatever that step is for them. And
That's
then
awesome.
personally, my family, I have 3 sons. One lives in California, one lives in Philly, and one lives here in Dallas. And So family has always been really extended family, and I always am lit up and recharged. And connection, I think it's really is. However, I connect with people, I think connection really charges me and lightens me up. It's when I can really connect with somebody at a deeper level.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been so much fun talking with you today and learning about you and seeing you light up and talk about the joy of your experiences and learning on your journey. Any last words before we close out this interview?
Oh, well, big thanks to you. I really appreciate it. And I just want people to realize that they can look at life not just we can look at stress differently. We can have a different relationship with stress and just get curious about what's going on in your world. When we can't be in stress and curiosity at the same time. So, whatever that curiosity is, ask questions, and make it fun. Make it, lighten up the heavy sometimes we need to do by just being curious.
Absolutely. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Eileen.
Thanks so much, Kat.